This woman and her daughter were stuck in a Tesla, you guys. So, according to CBS out of Chicago, this woman and her daughter had a rental car. They ended up getting the Tesla. I'll tell you how they got that. They did not want the electric car. But the Tesla broke down on them and trapped them inside. They were stuck in the car. So, this is the story. Rental car companies are increasingly adding electric vehicles to their fleets. Hertz alone has so far bought 56,000. But these cars can have unique challenges for drivers. One mother and daughter found out the hard way while on a trip to look at several colleges around the country. Becky, I don't know how to say her last name, Liebach, and her 16-year-old daughter from the village of Gurney found themselves trapped on the side of a road when their electric rental car died. They were trapped inside the vehicle too. We go to open the door and the car doors won't open, said Liba. The doors were locked. No help came. I have never driven an electric vehicle and it would not have been my first choice, said Liba. But I'm sorry, there's no but there. It was quite the disaster. The problem started when a Hertz rental agent told her they were overbooked and all they had left was an electric vehicle. She had reserved a gas powered sedan. He said, "The only thing I have is a Tesla. It's the only other car. Otherwise, we have nothing here. Do you want to take this Tesla?" said Liba. This happened at closing time. Liba was stranded, desperate, and took the Tesla. She had never driven an electric vehicle. My daughter was using her phone to Google how to operate the car overall, said Liba, adding the car was not ready for driving. The tires needed air, and Liba soon learned the battery was less than halfway charged. I know it had 90 some miles, and that was it, she said. The pair were driving mostly in rural areas and could not find any Tesla charging stations. They found other types of charging stations, but those required a special adapter. Hertz never provided one. As they continued to search for a Tesla station, the car went completely dead. Liba said they were locked inside the vehicle and called the Hertz roadside assistance number for help, but they didn't get any. I did not feel that Hertz helped us at all through this situation, said Liba. The next trouble, their cell phones were about to go dead. They ended up using the battery power from a laptop in their luggage to charge one cell phone and call their own tow truck driver. Meanwhile, they were still stuck inside the car. We couldn't get out of the car, said Liba. Nothing works in the vehicle at all. We were locked in the car. You couldn't turn lights on. There was no functionality. Finally, the tow truck they called showed up. The driver told Liba about the button she needed to press to get out of the car. I ended up having to crawl out the trunk when he told me about the release button in the back, said Liba. The tow truck driver drove the mother and daughter to a nearby hotel. There were no ride shares or taxis operating in the area. So the next morning, Liba paid the hotel maintenance man to drive them across the state. As bad as all this was, the Hertz and other unexpected bills totaling about $1,000 made it even worse. I started getting monthly invoices from Hertz, said Liba, who refused to pay. She says the company took her to collections, then tried to ban her from renting a car. I got a letter from them a couple days later saying I would no longer be able to rent from Hertz, said Liba about being added to a do not rent list. That is when she turned to CBS 2 investigators for help. Hertz then quickly changed its position and refunded all the money Liba lost. Extremely frustrated, Liba says about this whole experience. What was supposed to be a fun visit turned out to be quite scary, and knowing any number of things could have happened along the way. In a phone call, a Hertz spokesperson apologized for Liba's experience and admitted a number of things went wrong, including giving her an electric car without an adapter. The spokesperson also said an adapter costs about $250 and often go missing and are targeted by thieves. So is that her fault that the adapters go missing and thieves, want them? No. If she had a rental that was electric, she should have had an adapter with that car. So if I was in that situation, I'd have a lawyer suing their asses right now. Excuse my language. Because they put her through a lot. I mean, can you imagine being stuck in a car? I would go crazy. Seriously, I'm like OCD and I'm claustrophobic. So can you imagine that, being stuck in a car and not knowing that you can get out of the trunk, first of all, but the doors won't open, nothing's working, you can't even turn on a light. I'm sorry, their window would have been broken out because I would have had to get out some kind of way. And just being sitting ducks on the side of a rural highway or road or whatever. Some maniac could have driven by offering help and they could have gone missing. You know what happens, right? And also, she'd already booked her car. She wanted a gas engine. And she was kind of bullied, in my opinion, into taking that Tesla. And man, so many things went wrong with that. The tires were low. There was only 90 miles that could be driven on the car before it needed to be charged. I mean, whoever gave her that car knew that car was not ready to be used. So if I was in that situation, they would pay me for all of my out of pocket. They did pay her that, but they would also be paying for all of the stress, right? I don't know if you guys feel that way, but I do. And they had the nerve to be angry with her and put her on a do not rent list. I mean, the gall of some people. Wow. I mean, it wasn't her fault. It was the fault of your employee. I think these days they just throw anybody into these places and just let them loose without sufficient training. Oh my goodness. Anyway, let me know what you think about this. I know I've had some mishaps with rentals in the last few years that I haven't had to rent a car very often, but the last two times I did, it was because our other car was broken. So sometimes you have to use a rental, right? And the last two times that I've rented in this city that I'm living in now, it wasn't a great experience. Let me just put it that way. Let me know what your experiences have been if you've ever rented a car. Was it good? Was it bad? Was it nothing to write home about? Let's talk about it in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks.